Do you have a good side? You want to sit on this side?
My better side.
Okay, is this a real thing? Move in just a little bit closer. That's good, right? You can see both. How's everybody doing? My name is Jarrad, and on this channel, we like to talk about personal finance. So in this video, I actually have one of my beautiful sisters here to kind of talk about some frugal living tips that she might have. So I grew up and lived with both of my sisters, not just in our parents' house, but in another house. So her and my other sister are extremely frugal in certain areas, so I wanted to get her tips to help you out with being just a little bit more frugal. And then towards the end, we'll also talk about maybe some areas where we're not willing to be frugal, where she's not willing to be frugal, where I'm not willing to be frugal. Well, did I even introduce you? Her name is, can I say your name on the internet? Okay, this is Marissa. We're like, what, there's 4 of us, and I'm the second oldest, she's the third oldest, and then we have one younger, and then one older, obviously. So we're like the 2 middle siblings, and we're probably, I'd say, the most alike out of all 4, right? Like me,
yeah.
Because we growing up, her and I were probably like the really, really wild ones in our family. Like we always got in trouble and got into a lot of trouble. Compared to like the oldest and the youngest, they were like kind of, I don't want to say like goody two shoes, but like
they were.
Yeah, they were. We were the bad ones, but I think we turned out okay so far.
Yeah.
Okay, the first frugal living tip Marissa has is what?
Is washing your plastic baggies.
Okay, so I think this is a little it can be ridiculous sometimes. So growing up with her and my other sister in this house, you'd always like go into the kitchen and you would see like plastic bags hung upside down, and like you would like put them in cabinets, like
so they would dry.
Yeah, so they would dry. She'd like rinse them out and she'd flip them upside down. So you'd walk into the kitchen and there's like all these plastic baggies hanging. I think it was ridiculous. She finds it very frugal, which I guess, and that's another thing with being frugal is what works for one person, I mean, might not work for someone else, you know, and it might like make someone else happy or really work for them, but other people would see that and be like, I don't know about that. That's kind of strange,
yes,
right?
Yeah. I've been doing it for so many years that it's not odd to me, but I find that like if I live with someone else and they see me and my habits and like what I do, they question them at first, but I've been doing it for so long that it doesn't even faze me.
Yeah.
It's just a normal thing. So I think one year I wanted to do a test to see how long I could make one bag of I think it was 100 like Ziploc bags to see how long I could get them to last. And they lasted a year and a half.
100 bags?
100 bags.
Wait, were they just like the big ones or little ones or both?
No, they were just the sandwich sized bags. And you know, I might not put like, if it has like peanut butter or jelly in there,
yeah,
which I don't eat jelly, so it would have just been peanut butter. If it had like that remnants on it, like I'll throw them away. I'm not that bad. But like if it just has like nuts or maybe some fruit or some veggies in them, easily you can wash that out.
Yeah, I guess it's true.
And hang it up. And
but like if you put like, because I was making chicken today and I was putting some in the plastic bags and I was thinking about her. I was like, well, when I go to thaw this chicken out of these bags, I mean, is this something Marissa would do, is like throw soap in the bag and wash it out? Would you do that with like that kind of thing, or no? That's like too far.
Yeah, that's too far.
Okay.
I wouldn't do that.
You just throw that out.
I would just throw that. I would call that one a loss. And for that situation, I would put it in like maybe a Tupperware container and then put it in the freezer, because then I can wash that Tupperware container out.
And you're not wasting the plastic bag.
The plastic bag.
Okay. Makes sense. Hey, real quick, make sure to Hulk smash that thumbs up button. I try to tell my sisters that I'm kind of popular on the internet, but none of them believe me. The only way they'll believe me is if I get a bunch of likes in this video, so I'd greatly appreciate that. The second frugal living tip from one of my sisters is
meal prepping.
This is huge. I do this too, and I think this is something that a lot of people should be doing. This is like the basic level of being frugal, I think. So how do you do it? Like, how do you go about meal prepping? Do you do it like once a week? Do you do it kind of a couple times a week?
Well, my schedule is really hectic, so I try to do it on Sundays. That's my goal. That doesn't always happen. Sometimes it leaks into Monday and I have to end up doing it Monday, but I'm really good about making, you know, lunches all week and, you know, something for breakfast, or always taking breakfast, never eating out during the week. That's huge for me. I give myself 1 day out of the week that I eat out with my work friends on Fridays. And every other day I'm strict about going to the grocery store and prepping a healthy meals.
Now, do you like freeze stuff? Because you saw my freezer today, and my freezer is, I'm one of those people where I meal prep for a whole month, like all the meat. And so if she saw my freezer today, I have just plastic containers all in there. So all I have to do is just go in there, grab a container, thaw it out, and I'm good for the week. Do you do anything like that, or you kind of just do it by week?
Yeah, that's a bit excessive for me. I don't meal prep for the month because I'm traveling and I'm going a lot of places, and I'm not home often enough to be able to make that work for me. Because I eat a lot of fresh vegetables. Like I eat salads during the week, hard-boiled eggs. You know, I'll make my own bacon bits to put on the salads. So I'm basically just eating mostly fruits and vegetables during the week.
Fun fact: Marissa worked on an organic farm for how long? Was it?
Just one summer.
One summer. She went and like donated her time. They basically, you didn't get paid, right? They just gave you a place to stay and then you worked on the farm.
Yeah, and I learned a ton. It was, yeah, it was awesome. Great experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Next frugal living tip is more for people who are very outdoorsy. So Marissa is a very outdoorsy person, does a lot of camping, hiking. She's way more of an outdoorsy person than I am. I like to kind of pretend like I am, but I can't hold a candle to her because she's done all kinds of things. You've hiked the Appalachian Trail, you've gone and worked for the National Park System, which we might talk about in a little bit, and yeah, you go hiking and camping all the time. So this next frugal living tip is around kind of that. So what is it for you?
So I do a lot of camping and hiking, so my gear can wear out rather quickly. I discovered a secondhand consignment gear shop where I live and started frequenting there and coming across various camping items that I need for a less amount of money than buying brand new. So that way you're not putting more, you know, trash into the landfill. You're reusing something that still has plenty of life back to it. It just may not be the latest and greatest. Is it
like a play it again sports type thing, but just for like camping gear?
Camping gear. They have stuff for biking, hiking, for dogs, workouts, you know, boots, shoes, anything you might need to be outdoors.
How'd you find that place? Just Google it?
Yeah, actually I had one of my other outdoor friends kind of tell me about it, and
really?
Yeah, just went
there.
So,
because she lives in North Carolina, did you ever find one up here in Ohio or no?
No, I didn't.
Okay, or did you not really look?
I never really thought about it then. Yeah.
Okay. So there you go.
I'm sure they're around.
Yeah, because camping gear, it can wear out very quickly, and it can be very expensive. Even if you get like high quality stuff, like it's just a matter of how often you use it. Like it's gonna wear out.
Yeah.
And if being outdoors and that kind of stuff is very important to you, then you know it's one of those things where you kind of like have to do to feel like happy. Like I know for me to feel happy, I have to go outside and do something in the woods where there's like trees on a regular basis, or else I freak out and I'm like, what's going on? So yeah. The next frugal living tip that I guess we used to do when myself, Marissa, and our other sister lived together was, and this was them. I didn't have any say in this, because when you live with your sisters, they say what goes. And so they would always leave in the wintertime here in Ohio, they would leave the heat down, and in the summertime, they would leave the air basically off unless it got really hot. And that was like their thing, right? Yeah,
it was. And now I've totally changed that, and I hate to be cold. So I crank my heat up in the wintertime, and I stay very comfortable in my apartment. That is now not something that I'm willing to change.
Yeah, I was gonna say now that they're gone, I've kind of realized like I am not gonna do that. And I don't know, why do you think we did that? Or I should say, why do you think that you and Sierra did that at that point in time? We weren't like really poor or anything, right?
No, we weren't. But I think we wanted to push the limit to see how low we could get our utility bills and like how much we could tolerate. And now I'm not willing to part with that comfort.
How about you guys? Let us know in the comments. I don't know, do you kind of do that with your heat and air? Do you like kind of go to the extreme and let yourself kind of deal with the really cold or the really hot outside or warmth? Yeah, I don't like doing that anymore. Plus, I feel bad about my dog because when it's really cold, if I have the heat down and she's like freezing, she's like shivering, and I'm like, this is awful. It's like abuse to a dog. Yeah. So, actually, you know what? Let's talk about areas where either of us are not willing to be frugal. This might be a little bit fun. The first area, I know for a fact both of us are not willing to be frugal on, and we came to this realization when we were all living together, is you do not cheap out on toilet paper.
Nope, never.
Never. I don't know who bought cheap toilet paper when we were all living together, but at some point I was like, listen, we can't do this. Because I don't know if you guys remember, like in school, they would always give you like the tissue, I don't know, like the tissue paper, toilet paper.
Like the one-ply Scots.
Yeah, so like, not to be disgusting, but you wipe, and then it's like, oh, hey, there's my bare hand. Yeah. I mean, it's awful. Disgusting, so that was one thing that we could all agree on when we lived together. Was we were like, no toilet paper, tissue, or no tissue paper, toilet paper. Does that make sense?
Only high quality toilet paper.
Yes, pay the extra cash for it because that's disgusting. The second area we are not willing to be, or she's not willing to be frugal on is
food.
Food. I would agree with this too. Food's, I think, very important. I think it depends on where you're at in your like financial life too, because not a lot of people can afford like higher quality food, you know. But if you can, and which we're actually able to now, it's like, no, I don't want to do that.
Yep, I'm not willing to make that sacrifice.
Yeah, so I guess I'm the same way too. And some of you, let me know in the comments. I'm curious if you're willing to kind of cut back on the quality food. And I guess it depends what kind of quality food people think is quality, because some people think that certain foods are good food and quality food, but it's actually not.
Right.
And I hate telling people like, hey, that's not good for you, even though it says healthy cuisine or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not. And so I think it just depends on the person and maybe trying to realize what's actually quality food. Yeah. So what would you consider like quality food?
So if we're talking meat, we're talking, we'll say beef, for example. Mm-hmm. When we had all lived together, we used to buy a quarter of a cow. I had a friend that's a farmer that had cows that he raised, like grass-fed and finished, and we would buy that quarter of a cow once a year and split it between the three of us, and it was very affordable.
Yeah, that actually is kind of frugal. Yeah. If you think about it, right? And it's quality food.
Very high quality.
But see, I don't ever go to the grocery store, so I don't like to get meat, so I don't even know what the price is for meat at the normal grocery store, because I know that it's usually not quality meat. But okay, so food. I'm the exact same way. I'm not willing to cheap out on food. I'm willing to spend the extra money, because we actually grew up pretty poor, so like we're on food stamps and welfare, and all you can get on that kind of thing is, when we were younger, is like the food that's not actually good for you.
Government cheese.
Government cheese. Did we ever even get government cheese? I hear about government cheese, but I don't know if it's an actual thing. Yeah. But it seems like on food stamps and welfare, the food that you're able to get, it's not even like, it's not good for you. No. Like it's really, it's a bunch of processed food that's just horrible for you. So it's kind of like bass backwards, and I don't know. So I guess maybe because we grew up in that extreme, now we're kind of to the point where we're not necessarily poor anymore, because we have our own like careers, and we're like, okay, we've seen the other side and we don't like it. So yeah, food, not willing to be frugal on. Nope. Sorry, not sorry. This next one that Marissa has for you is a little bit of frugally. She's frugal and not frugal at the same time, so I'll let her explain. Yeah,
so I love to travel. I travel a pretty decent amount. I do a lot of like international trips. I do a lot of camping and backpacking trips. And I have some friends I'll travel with, and we went to Greece, for example, last September. And it was a beautiful vacation, absolutely amazing, and we got it for dirt cheap because we bought this vacation on Groupon with
really?
a coupon code. Yes, so it was ridiculously cheap. When I tell people the amount of money I spent, they can't believe it. So I had a little bit more money in my pocket to be able to spend on, you know, food and drinks and excursions and various things there. So
she's like, not necessarily frugal when it comes to wanting to travel a lot, but that's something that's very important to her. But so you're saying when you do go travel, you try to be as frugal as possible.
absolutely.
Yeah, because yeah, you're like out and about as much as you possibly can. It seems like, which is good. Well, and like I said, you could almost even consider you being frugal by working for the national park system and like just being able to travel that way too, and almost for basically free, right?
Right.
So that's another way to even be frugal. Yeah, is doing that. And that seemed like it was, you went to a lot of places when you were
Did
doing
a lot
that.
of really fun stuff. There's
Yeah.
a lot of fringe benefits.
Yeah, so if you were like single and you want to do some traveling, go work for the national park system. You just like Google it, right?
Yeah.
You Google everything,
You guys
okay?
have jobs.gov.
Yeah, I mean, she did it and she loved it. She has so many stories. Okay, that is it. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Like I said, Hawk smash that thumbs up button. Leave any comments down below. Would greatly appreciate it. If you want more personal finance videos just like this one, then hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so YouTube will deliver them directly to your beautiful face. I'll see you in the next one, friends. Adios.